Rob, what is our third main topic today?
John, our third main topic comes to us from Erik Michaelson. Greetings, John, Rob, and Kris. At midnight, I jumped on Netflix to watch Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 2. And no dice.
No dice.
It took me like 20 minutes to get the show loaded. Looks like I wasn't the only one having trouble, as it's being reported that a lot of people couldn't get on the service. Looks like crashing servers aren't just for AMC and Disney Plus. What do you think of this situation?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Eric. And yes, of course, Stranger Things Season 4, which in my opinion has been the best season of Stranger Things so far.
Me too, I agree.
Volume 2, the final 4 hours, 2 episodes, dropped at midnight. I have not watched it. I had planned on watching it, but after watching The Boys, I was exhausted. Yes, and I'm like, I'm not going to make it. I got to go to bed. So I haven't watched it yet. Ann and I are planning to hunker down and watch that a little bit later tonight. But it looks like a lot of people try to tune in and watch it at the same time because, yeah, they had some problems. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who wrote the following. Netflix's streaming service was unavailable for a brief period early Friday after the highly anticipated release of the final 2 episodes of Stranger Things Season 4. According to global uptime monitoring site downdetector.com, user reports of problems with the Netflix spiked to around 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when Stranger Things 4 Volume 2 went live. Complaints about errors with Netflix peaked to nearly 13,000 at the top of the hour before the situation seemed to be resolved within a half hour. Now notice, that's not 13,000 people had problems. That's 13,000 people who actually went through the bother of going onto that website and reporting a problem, which means there's probably 30 for every one.
Yeah.
that went to go tune in with it. And you're right. This tends to be a problem that we see when Disney Plus, although not as much lately, but when a new episode of Mandalorian would go, it's like, try again.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen that with Netflix. And now we have. Rob, I think there are 2 really interesting things about this. Interesting thing number 1 is that I think this is another testament that this has been the best season of Stranger Things so far.
I completely agree with you.
Right? I think this is absolutely a testament to that.
That's great.
The people who have been excited about Stranger Things in the past, never been as excited about this show as they are right now. And I think this result, this very fact that Netflix itself is suffering crashes, and again, maybe it has happened in the past. I just don't recall ever hearing about this ever happening with Netflix before. Not for any of their Marvel shows, not for The Crown, not for House of Cards, nothing. Stranger Things, Season 4, Volume 2, it doesn't. But if I may do a little confirmation bias.
Okay.
The second big thing to me that stands out to me, and that I think people at Netflix are going to notice, not dropping your entire season at once fucking works. Because you know what didn't crash the servers at Netflix? Dropping the first part of Stranger Things Season 4. There was a lot of people excited about it. Very, very excited about it. A lot of people, I'm sure, tuned in immediately to watch the first episode or 2 or whatever. But there is a reason that didn't crash the site, but this did. This is yet more proof and more evidence that the better, the smarter way to release content is not by dropping it all at once. It is by dropping it in stages or episodes, because you allow word of mouth to buzz. Because here's what would happen before, Rob. We've talked about this. Stranger Things Season 3 would drop. Everybody watched it, buzzed about it for about 3 to 4 days. And then the conversation was over. The conversation was done. After a week, nobody was talking about Stranger Things Season 3 anymore. It was done. We have spent a month talking about Stranger Things Season 4 up until this point. Getting more people excited. Getting people to want to go back, catch up, because there was more coming. And then it comes, crashes Netflix, and I guarantee you the numbers are bigger than they were for Volume 1. And that is why streaming shows like WandaVision started off small, but grew every single week, week after week. And we were talking about WandaVision for 2 months. We talked about Mandalorian for months. And we're talking about The Boys for months, because you can do that with stuff like this. And again, granted, this is probably, I admit there's probably a degree of confirmation bias in this. I admit that. But I do also think you can't just ignore it. That all of a sudden they've released the second part now, and boom, the conversation is still hot and going. And I think this is a big thing. But anyway, Rob, those are the two takeaways I have. What are the takeaways you have looking at this situation?
Well, first of all, I want to point out that ultimately you have to have something that's great. And one of the things I think about, I look at, it's kind of strange. I'm looking at Stranger Things 4 and The Boys as sort of being parallel in the sense that both of these shows, deep into their runs, are doing the same thing. You have a large ensemble cast. They're doing a great job with these sprawling stories, and they're interconnecting all of our favorite characters. Beautiful writing. I think Stranger Things 4, like The Boys, really has upped their game. The writing is terrific. You're interested in everything that's going on, these wildly diverging storylines. Really great. But that said, John, it's not even just, think about what's happened, like the whole Kate Bush running up that hill story. It became an international
phenomenon.
It's become a phenomenon. She's at the top of the UK charts, and that's happened between the two seasons. And people are starting to talk about that. Who would have thought that would have happened? I wouldn't have thought that would have happened. But also, people can buy their Hellfire Club t-shirts. You can go online and get those.
I got to get mine, by the way.
Yeah, and I think that what's happened here is and even from you and I have talked on this show now for years about how we drew the conclusion that, you know what? Putting them out weekly is much better because, and I know this now for a fact, I have binged shows that I watched the whole thing, don't remember a thing. Don't remember a thing. When I watch shows, I don't know if it's the way my brain works, but if I watch shows week after week after week, I think about them. I anticipate, last week, I actually will watch the recaps. Normally, I wouldn't watch recaps. I just binge. Now I watch the recaps because I want to get myself in that headspace. And you come and watch this stuff, and I think it's a much more fulfilling experience because I'd gotten to the point where I binge these shows in one ear and out the other. I'd binge them, I'd be done with them, and I can't even remember watching some shows I watched. I know I watched the whole thing and I love them. Like a lot of them were murder mysteries or something. I don't know what happened. I'd be hard pressed to describe a scene. But dude, and some of these shows, like For All Mankind, I'm going back and watching the episode multiple times during the week because I'm thinking about it. And I think you're absolutely right. I don't think it's a confirmation bias because we have seen this happen. We've even judged it. In ourselves. We're like, what works better for me? And look at the Star Wars shows. Look at how we talk, whether you like Kenobi or not. That was a discussion ongoing. Miss Marvel, people are talking about it. And they're trying to make sense of it. And what happens is at first there's people that'll be like, that show's going to suck. And then as episodes 2 and 3 and 4 across the weeks are talked about, and people that wouldn't normally go, that was really good. Suddenly they're going, that's really good. And then people are tuning in. Word of mouth is building, and it becomes a cultural event. It goes out into the wider culture, and people are talking about it in political essays or whatever. Vecna is a thing that people will mention. And I think that we've proven, or Netflix has proven, just like you said, part 1 didn't cause any service to crash.
Yeah, but to your point, none of this matters if the show isn't great. Right? And like you've made that point many, many, many times. Like, okay, it doesn't matter what your release strategy is if your content isn't great. And that's, again, it's another testament, I think, to the fact that they have really upped their game. I think this has been the best season of Stranger Things so far, and I can't wait to watch the final 2 episodes tonight.
No, I mean, me neither. And, you think about the great shows, whether it's Ted Lasso and Severance or For All Mankind over on Apple Plus. You've got stuff on Netflix. You have stuff on Amazon like The Boys. We are seeing a renaissance specifically of genre television programming, science fiction, fantasy, and horror. We've got House of the Dragon coming. We've got Rings of Power coming. I mean, hopefully we're living through, and all these people are looking at these shows, watching, going, we have to up our game. So we as viewers are getting some amazing content. I'm always saying we're living through a golden age. We really are.
We really are. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Were you one of the many people who tried right at midnight to start clicking on Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 2, and maybe had to wait a little bit? What do you think is the reason for it? Why do you think it's peaking like this? Whatever your guys' thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Masterclass. You guys know we love Masterclass around here and have been talking about them for a while. With over 100 classes from a wide range of world-class instructors, that thing you've always wanted to do is closer than you think. And you guys know one of my favorite classes on here is Bob Iger teaching business strategy and leadership. I go back and watch that like all the time. But also I recently discovered the new class on comedy by Steve Martin, where it includes comedy screenwriting as he does this great case study for one of my all-time favorite comedies, Roxanne. I've gotten more into screenwriting by taking a class from Aaron Sorkin himself. And of course, you guys know I'm a poker guy and I love my good Canadian kid, Daniel Negreanu, and I've been watching his stuff on poker strategy. It's absolutely fantastic. So guys, we highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every single masterclass. And as a John Campea Show viewer and listener, you get 15% off an annual membership. So go to masterclass.com/Campea. That's masterclass.com/Campea for 15% off Masterclass.